You're with Julian on the Brown Note and an album review of Soul Glow Diaspora Problems. Soul Glow are named after a wonderful character in the movie Coming to America and has become synonymous with this kind of curly, very greasy hair. They're a hardcore band, and I know nothing about hardcore. I am someone that dips into these crossover acts. I'm the kind of person that's been to 2 Deafheaven concerts and probably not listened to another hardcore band since, or anything that could be painted as such. So this is unusual territory for me. They formed in Philly in 2014, but they only released their debut project, which was the wonderfully titled Songs to Yeet at the Sun EP in 2020. So this is their debut album. I've got to say, this is in the running for the debut album of the year. Even though I don't know anything about this kind of music, the amount of the feeling you get of a great band at their peak on this album, it shines through continually throughout, and the hardcore sensibilities melt away on subsequent listens to reveal an enormous amount of musical complexity and depth on this album. The opening Gold Chain, there are some surprising bands that come into my mind. There's this choppy guitar at the start, which is really reminiscent of the UK late 80s band The Wedding Present around the era of Kennedy, this very sort of clean but yet very, very hard driving guitar music. Even Chili Peppers funk at times appears on this song. The other 2 acts that really, I mean, if I was to describe the band in 2 acts, it would be At the Drive-In and Death Grips. In fact, the fact that this is, I don't know if it's an entirely black American band or whether it's mostly, that really does position them. They're very, very politicized, and this whole album is shot through with modern social concerns around race and war and everything else that you would likely hear on a Death Grips album, delivered with the ferocity of a Death Grips album. I'm a massive Death Grips fan. But there are song developments on these songs. It's, I think, ironically, when these hardcore acts produce 2-minute songs, they're often underdeveloped. But here, they actually managed to get to 4-minute songs, because there's so much development and imagination in each song. They actually engage in a hell of a lot of songwriting and sort of jump cuts to different sound stages, which I really, really liked. I thought the opening was great, coming correct. It bludgeons you, but one thing they do really well is they don't bludgeon you too much. They allow for the songs to breathe, for passages where it's a lot more sort of airy. I even got a bit of a Jane's Addiction vibe going on that track, even close to metal, straight up metal. The Effed Up song, the staccato guitar again, the sort of wedding present-y thing is really, really good. And another band that I would definitely say is on the cards here, if At the Drive-In, that late 90s post-hardcore band that I think have reconvened now and made one of the great albums of all time with Relationship of Command. If they were the logical successors to the MC5, that legendary Detroit band, one of the coolest bands in history, kick out the jams, of course, but just on stage, well, one of the most cool acts. And At the Drive-In sort of like were their logical heirs. You would say that Soul Glow are probably the logical heirs of both At the Drive-In and MC5 on this, especially how politicized all the music is. Jump is furious, Driponomics, I love neoliberalism in there. Here they actually branch out into sounding a little bit reminiscent of Run the Jewels. So that's an unexpected twist. Bringing in a female rapper, but even the instrumental backing is it wouldn't have been out of place on a Run the Jewels album, I didn't think. They do more surprising stuff on 5 Years in My Family, which is opening it with sort of like 80s synth pads, so sounding like an 80s rock track for about the first 30 seconds before sort of amping things up. I mean, that opening would be like a war and drugs song. These Things, again, another album that is essential. Very, very sort of like on the melodic side of hardcore is Source Tag and Codes from Annual Noah's by the Trail of Dead. That album is essential. So is Relationship of Command. Both 10 out of 10s for me. And these things I carry definitely sort of made me reminisce about that wonderful early 2000s post-hardcore record. And there's a couple of tracks from then on that actually made me think of early Nirvana around Love Buzz, where you've got that like very popping, quite funky bass going on. And I thought that was really, really good. There's some thrilling shifts on God Bless All Real Good, which is sort of reminiscent of the chants of the first track, Gold Chain's got some great chanting going on. And track 12, Points to the Future, which is almost reminded me of Sublime from the mid-90s, which was is the most chilled track on the album. I think it's the longest, and it certainly is. It broadens the musical horizons into more down-tempo and less abrasive territory, which I imagine they'll explore more. Overall, this is a fantastic record. If there's any problems I've got, and they're very few and far between, I mentioned Source Tag and Codes, and I mentioned Relationship of Command. One thing both those albums do is they are shot through with stunning melodies, and the albums open up and are almost like iridescent when they have these really strong melodies going on. And even though the songwriting's great here, I would have liked more of those songwriterly melodies to appear on the album, because they shoot those albums through with colour. They really, really make them colourful and sort of erupt in these beautiful iridescent colours. But I've got to say, even though I know nothing about hardcore, it would be probably my third best album so far this year off the top of my head. And probably is in the running for the best debut album of the year as well. So absolutely superb work. Soul Glow, Diaspora Problems, I will give a 9 out of 10 to.